Retire Smart Maryland. My name is Cynthia DeFazio, joined today by Prashant Sabapathy and Nick Interbickler of Elite Income Advisors. And to our viewers at home, we're going to address some top concerns that retirees have across the board. You're not going to want to miss today's show. One of these concerns you may feel yourself. Prashant, how are you today?
I'm doing excellent. Good to see you.
So good to see you. I'm so honored to be with you both today. I just love our time together in the studio. And Nick, how are you?
Doing fantastic. Always great to see you.
Always great to spend time with both of you because I know how busy you are and yet you always make time to come in and do the show. So thank you so much. I know the viewers appreciate it as well. Yeah. So obviously so busy, a lot going on. The office is really busy, workshops are busy. So you're hearing a lot of concerns from retirees across the board with what they're thinking and feeling. So I thought we should maybe spend some time today going through some of those. One that came up actually, and I'm sure you hear this a lot, will I have enough money to retire comfortably? Prashant, are you hearing that quite often?
It's the number one question that we hear. And I think when we get that question, I think what people are really asking us is, when can I retire? When can I retire in such a way that my standard of living doesn't have to be lower than what I expected? And how do I ensure that I can stay retired and not have to be forced to go back to work? And so that is all a function of how much income you have coming in, right? Like I've said this for years, I feel like on the show, is that, you know, while you're working, your financial life really just is what we call money in and money out, right?
Absolutely.
It's just your paycheck comes in, your expenses go out. You try your very best to save as much money as you possibly can somewhere along the way. And the interesting thing is that when you retire, that doesn't change. It's still very much so about the income that comes in and the expenses that goes out.
True.
But what changes is where that income comes from. If it's not coming from your paycheck, it must come from somewhere else. And so I think the key to building a retirement plan is having a strong foundation, and we believe that that foundation should be on the back of what we call guaranteed income that you can always rely on every month, every year for the rest of your lifetime, regardless of if the stock market goes up, down, or sideways. You have to have a paycheck coming in. Once you solve that problem, planning for retirement gets a heck of a lot easier.
Sure, it provides complete peace of mind.
That's exactly right.
Absolutely. Nick, you were going to say
something.
And
it comes down to a plan, right?
Yes.
Because not everybody has a plan. And we ask this question all the time. The concern, I don't know if I have enough to retire. Yeah. Well, if you don't have a plan, that's the first place you have to start. And looking through statements and, you know, your 401k online or whatever, it's not going to give you a real plan. So we tell people all the time, look, we're the specialists at this. We're going to help you get that plan so you can have the most fulfilling retirement that you've always dreamed of.
And that's really what it's all about.
Absolutely.
Fulfillment and having fun in those retirement
That's right.
years. Yep. Nick, this second one I'm going to guide to you. How can I protect my savings against inflation? That's a big one, inflation. People are talking about that a lot.
Obviously, inflation has been at the forefront of everybody's mind over the last several years, and we've seen record numbers. And we've planned for years. Prashant and I and Ozzy, we've been working together almost 10 years. And we've always used the long-term inflation average when we're putting our plans together. In the last several years, that just hasn't been good enough, right? So it's just figuring out how you can have things that will grow, things that are in the market, taking advantage of really good interest rates that we see right now, which are coming down, unfortunately. But taking advantage of things like treasuries. You know, we've seen really great savings rates on treasuries, but having things also that are reliable. Prashant mentioned it before, guaranteed income, because if you can have some guarantees in your portfolio, then you can sleep better at night knowing that you have that foundation that's important.
The answer to higher expenses because of inflation is higher income.
Yes.
Right? Like we've never had a client come to us and say, Nick, Prashant, you guys built way too much income into my financial plan and now I'm struggling, right? That doesn't happen. If you have enough income coming in, you're going to be able to deal with that inflation. You know what? If you don't end up using it, it's not the end of the world. You'll be just fine. And so I love what you're saying. I mean, the higher the income, the better the outcome when you get to retirement, without a doubt.
And it kind of ties in, actually, this one is going to go back to the first one. What if I outlive my retirement savings? Well, with a proper plan.
Yeah, look, I've said for years that the scariest day of a retiree's lifetime is actually not the day that they run out of money. It's the day that they realize that they are going to run out of money and that there's nothing that they can do about it.
Yeah.
And so you want to proactively prepare yourself to make sure that you are never in that situation. And for us, it comes to having a balanced approach, right? So often people come in to visit with us and they have all their money in the stock market, all their money just in one bucket. The way we plan is maybe a little bit different than what people are traditionally used to. We believe in using a bucketing approach where we use multiple buckets of money so that when the market goes up, we have a risk bucket of money that can benefit from that. But when the market goes down, most of our clients have a totally safe and secure bucket of money that they can pull from, knowing that they're not going to be selling their investments at a low point in the market. And so often we have people that think that they're diversified because they have a combination of stocks and bonds, but the problem is it's all in one bucket. We think that you have to shift, you should have multiple buckets of money to be able to deal with the ups and downs of the market, especially in a volatile time around political season. We see it every cycle.
True.
Things start to get crazy, and you want to protect yourself from that.
Absolutely, absolutely. Nick, I want to take this next one to you. How will healthcare costs impact my retirement savings? So many people are concerned about rising healthcare costs. Do you hear that quite often?
We hear it all the time, and it's, again, not planning properly, but you have things like Medicare premiums, right? The more money you make, the higher you're going to pay for Medicare. But if you age and unfortunately you go through something like our families have gone through with, a Parkinson's or an Alzheimer's type of diagnosis. So, there's enough options out there for today for people to consider to plan accordingly. And if you're not including healthcare costs in there, you're making a big mistake. So we just know everything in our life right now is more expensive than it was 6 months, a year ago, 2 years ago. And healthcare is just one of the other ones that we just have no control over.
You know, you said something really interesting, which is the higher your income is, the more you actually pay for your Medicare. And so let's think about that for a second, because if you did the right thing, you put your money away as Wall Street told you to do, as your employer told you to do, you put it into these tax deferred accounts like your 401k, your IRA, your thrift savings plan, and you put that money in before tax. So you took the tax deduction up front with the hope that when you retired, your income would be lower in retirement. The problem is you got to the age of the required minimum distribution, which is between the ages of 70 and a half for some people, all the way up to potentially 75 for some folks. And you're taking that money out, and every time you take it out, it counts as income, which means you have to pay taxes on it. But as a result of you doing the right thing, you saved $500,000, $1 million, $2 million in these 401k accounts. That's going to increase your income and create a domino effect. The higher your income is, the more you end up paying for your Medicare Part B. So going back to concerns about healthcare and retirement, I think a lot of people think that when I get onto Medicare, I get onto the government health insurance program, my cost of healthcare will go down. For people that have done a great job, like our viewing audience has, if you've done a great job saving money, you might find yourself in a situation where your cost of Medicare goes up in retirement and not down. And so folks, if your advisor has not talked to you about planning for healthcare in retirement or planning for rising inflation and how you have enough income to offset that, if you're concerned that a downward movement in the stock market could jeopardize your retirement, I want you to pick up the phone right now and dial this number. It's 833-308-5200. When you dial that number, our operators are standing by. Have your calendar right there in front of you. You'll be able to claim your free appointment with our team of specialists at Elite Income Advisors. Now, when you come into the office, our team is going to help you with a couple of different things. Number one, we'll run for you a Social Security optimization report. Make sure that you have an airtight Social Security strategy. Number two, we'll put together a retirement income plan for life. We'll help you map out your income each and every year for the rest of your life while taking into account taxes and inflation. Then number three, we'll run a risk analysis of your portfolio. If you're taking too much risk with your retirement accounts, wouldn't you like to know before the next market downturn happens? Call this phone number, 833-308-5200. You can also take out your cell phone and scan the QR code, visit the landing page, and book your appointment that way. Totally free of cost to come in and visit.
Do they get a copy of the book today?
You know what? We'll throw in a copy of the book. If you book that appointment, scan the QR code, be happy to throw in a copy of the book. It's Fiscal Health, Retirement Wealth. It's your prescription for income generation, tax management, and financial peace of mind.
Prashant, thank you so much. Nick, thank you so much. To our viewers at home, that number to call is 833-308-5200. As Prashant mentioned, if you don't have your pen handy, grab your smartphone, click on that QR code at the bottom corner of your screen. That will take you right to the landing page for Elite Income Advisors, and you can claim your spot accordingly. And don't forget, you'll want to come in and get a copy of this amazing book. It's one of my favorite reads. We have it on the nightstand at home. I love it. You want a copy of the Fiscal Health, Retirement Wealth. We'll be right back after this very short commercial break.
Having a true written financial plan provides peace of mind in a way that nothing else really can.
In our job, we want to make sure that we give it to our clients the guaranteed income stream for the rest of their lives, so they don't have to worry about what's going to happen.
As a specialist in distribution, we're helping people make sure that their money is going to last for the rest of their lifetime so that they never run out of income, and minimize that tax consequence along the way, and then help transfer that to their heirs in the most tax efficient way.
I think the most important to me in the financial planning is first of all, you need to understand what the client wants. It's all about the client.
So much of what we do at Elite Income Advisors surrounds helping people understand exactly where their paycheck is going to come from, how much it's going to be, and making sure that, most importantly, that it increases through their retirement.
Welcome back to Retire Smart Maryland. My name is Cynthia DeFazio, joined today by Prashant Sabapathy and Nick Interbickler of Elite Income Advisors, and we're talking about some top concerns that people have about retirement. So again, you don't want to miss the rest of today's show. Prashant, this next one I'm going to just gear right to you, and I know this is a question that you hear often in the workshops. How do I minimize taxes in retirement? That is a big one.
Yeah, it sure is, and we hear this all the time. It's definitely in the top 3 questions asked to our team from the folks that come in to visit. And so, look, taxes are on sale right now, okay? That's what we always say. When the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act was passed, it reduced marginal income tax rates pretty much across the board. And the issue is that the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act is scheduled to sunset at the end of 2025. So what that means is if there's no extension of our current tax code, January 1, 2026, marginal income tax rates are going to go up for the majority of people out there. And so if you have a pre-tax retirement account, like an IRA or a 401k, there's an embedded tax liability into your retirement accounts. And so one of the things that we've done is we've added some tools to our website to be able to help project out what your tax bill may look like. The website I want you to visit is testmytaxbill.com. We also have a QR code. You can scan the QR code. It'll take you right to that website. And what you'll do is you'll enter in some very basic information, make a couple assumptions about your retirement accounts, and then you'll actually be able to get a report that does a little bit of a projection for you of what your future tax liability is on your 401k or your IRA. I'll tell you what, it's super easy to use the calculator.
Okay.
But I think more than anything, it's eye-opening to understand what kind of taxes you potentially face. And here's the other thing that people don't think about is you know that you're going to have to pay the taxes when you're withdrawing the money. But so many of our clients will end up leaving a legacy to their family. Nick, what happens to this qualified money, to this pre-tax money, when someone passes away and leaves it to their non-spousal beneficiary?
So at the end of 2019, the Secure Act, first Secure Act was passed, and it eliminated the stretch IRA.
Yeah.
And a stretch IRA was the best way for retirees who had accumulated $500,000, $1 million, $2 million in their retirement accounts to pass money tax efficiently to their children, whoever their heirs were. And now, without the stretch IRA, you're now burdened with a lump sum or a 10-year disbursement clock that starts when the second, if it's a husband and wife or a couple, when the second of the couple passes away, your children have to take a distribution of that money over the next 10 years.
Wow.
So if it's $1 million or $2 million and you have 2 or 3 children and they're making good money, they're going to probably be in a higher
tax
they're going to
bracket.
experience that tax domino at a much earlier stage in life than their mom or dad did.
Wow.
Unbelievable.
It is.
And this report, this testmytaxbill.com report, it will actually break that down for you. If you do nothing, this is what's going to happen, projected, okay? And if you take action, and maybe that's something we can talk about is, okay, we know that there's a looming tax problem. What can we do to solve it? And I think one of the most powerful things out there that advisors are not talking about, okay, is the power of a Roth conversion, okay? And so a Roth conversion is when you take that IRA account and you proactively change it from pre-tax to a totally tax-free vehicle. The issue is that you have to pay all those taxes in the year that you make the conversion. So if I have $1 million in my IRA and this year I converted $100,000 to a Roth, that $100,000 shows up as ordinary income on my tax return, which means I have to pay all the taxes. However, if we think that our future tax rate is likely to be higher than our current tax rate, doesn't it make sense to just go ahead and pay some of those taxes today?
Absolutely, it does.
Yeah, and so look, what I'm not saying is I'm not saying every single person watching this should go out and immediately do a Roth conversion. What I am saying is that every single person should understand whether or not a Roth conversion is the right thing for you. Nick, how many times do you see people come into the office and you start talking about taxes and you get the blank stare because their advisor is maybe specialized in accumulation or they're not specialized in helping clients with taxes?
True.
How often do you see that?
All the time. And it's something that, like you said earlier, we did the right thing. We put away money pre-tax, thinking that we would be in a lower tax bracket in retirement. And one of my best friends, I talk to him about this all the time, and he goes, should I do a Roth? I go, we're 50 years old. Yeah, absolutely. Anybody. And we didn't have access to them, but this current retiring generation, they've got pensions, they're getting Social Security, they might have rental income, and now they've got to take out these distributions out of these pre-tax 401ks and IRAs. So yeah, absolutely. We should all be looking at the benefit of converting to a Roth IRA.
And the key with this thing is that there's a potential expiration date for when this is a viable strategy. I mean, when taxes go up in 2026, if there's no extension of the tax code, if taxes go up in 2026, doing a Roth conversion then may not be quite as favorable as it is today. So folks, if you are thinking about your tax rate and that the threat of rising taxes could erode your retirement income, you need to pick up the phone right now and call this number. It's 833-308-5200. If you've never explored doing a Roth conversion, give us a call. It's 833-308-5200. Book that complimentary consultation. Now, here's what's going to happen. When you come in to visit, you are not agreeing to become a client. In fact, we're not agreeing to take you as a client, but what we are doing is we're getting you exactly what you need, which is a conversation about your retirement plan. You might find that everything is in good shape, in which case we don't need to potentially work together. But if you're like a lot of the folks that come in to visit, there's 2 or 3 things that you haven't thought about or that your advisor hasn't thought about, whether it's the market, using guaranteed income solutions to shore up your retirement foundation, or doing a Roth conversion to minimize your future tax liability. If you haven't talked about those things, pick up the phone, give us a call. It's 833-308-5200. You can also pull out your smartphone, scan the QR code. You'll be able to book an appointment that way as well.
Prashant, thank you so much. And Nick, thank you so much. To the viewers at home, that number to call is 833-308-5200. As you can tell, we understand what some of the concerns are that retirees are facing today. We're trying to alleviate those. Just book that consultation. Again, the number is 833-308-5200. Or you can grab your smartphone, click on that QR code. That'll take you right to the landing page, and you can claim your time accordingly. We're going to take a very short commercial break. Don't go anywhere. We have more of top retirees' concerns when we return.
The work never seems to end until the day it finally does. After nearly a lifetime on the job, you should be rewarded for all the time you spent working. Whether that's crossing off items on your bucket list, learning a new passion, or rekindling the love of an old one. After all, life isn't over when you stop working. It's the start of an all-new chapter. The one where you're the writer and you get to choose how your story will go. A way to achieve that is by having a clear financial plan to sustain your golden years. The biggest fear most retirees have is if they'll have enough money to maintain the lifestyle they've always enjoyed. Having a plan to help protect you against the curveballs life often throws will help to maintain your lifestyle. Call today to get your free written financial plan so you may live every day to the fullest and enjoy the retirement of your dreams.
Welcome back to Retire Smart Maryland. My name is Cynthia DeFazio, joined today by Prashant Sabapathy and Nick Interbickler of Elite Income Advisors. And we're talking all about top concerns that retirees are facing today and the questions that they have surrounding those concerns. Nick, this next one I'm going to guide to you. Question is, what should I do with my 401k when I retire? That's a concern that retirees are asking themselves at night.
Yeah, so one of the things that we believe in wholeheartedly at Elite Income Advisors is education. And I don't think there's enough conversations about why it's important to look at other options once you leave your employer, right? When you leave your employer, you have this whole universe that opens up to you.
Yes.
Doesn't mean it's the right thing to move it away, but you have to, look at costs, you have to look at risk, you have to look at investments options, guaranteed accounts.
Yes.
So it's important to sit down with a fiduciary. We're fiduciaries, licensed fiduciaries, and it's important to weigh what your current plan provides in costs and performance and all these different things. And if you move it from a 401k to an IRA, that you have more access to this big world of investments, is it better for you to do that? So there's no right or wrong answer necessarily, but we've seen people over the years that go, oh yeah, I've got I worked for all these different companies, right?
Yeah.
The average employee works for 6 or 7 different companies
right.
over their lifetime. And when they leave, life is busy and they forget that they had a 401k from a company they worked at 20 years ago. So it's important, again, to have a plan, but we sit down and we evaluate those things all the time. How much risk are you taking is the kind of the starting point, and then putting together that plan for income.
All right, Nick, thank you so much. Prashant, this next one, how can I ensure that my spouse is secure if I pass away?
This is one that we see all the time. I was meeting with a couple, a couple weeks ago, and he's what we call a triple dipper, right? So triple dipper to us, he served in the United States military, so he gets a pension from the military. He worked for the federal government after his military service, and so he gets a pension from the federal government. And then while he was in the military, he became disabled, and so he also collects a VA benefit, which is tax-free to him.
Okay.
The thing is, when he passes away, what we found, it was one of the exercises that we did, is we put together a full income plan for both him and his spouse. And so we're mapping out their income, showing them how much income they're going to have while they're both living. And what we found is that after taxes, they're going to have something like $12,000 a month coming in if they're both living.
Okay.
And they told me that's a really comfortable lifestyle. If we had $12,000 a month, we're going to feel really good about retirement.
Sure.
Great. And I said, let's illustrate what happens if something happens to him first. And we did this like a live demo in our conference room. And when I did this, I just about had to pick her jaw up off the floor, because what happened is when he passes away, not only are they going to lose the lower of the two Social Securities, she's only going to get to keep half of his pension, the federal pension. She's going to lose all of the military pension and lose the VA benefits.
Oh my gosh.
And her net income, if something were to happen to him first, goes from $12,000 a month all the way down to $4,500 per month.
Oh my gosh.
A huge drop off in income. And so she said, Prashant, no one's ever told me about this before.
Wow.
So I said, if this happens to you, how much income are you going to need to live? And she said, well, I can't live on $4,500 a month. And so what we ended up doing with them is they had about $1.5 million saved. And all we did is we actually repositioned about $500,000 of that money. And because they don't need it now, we actually put it into a bucket. We actually used what's called an annuity for this. We used $500,000 in an annuity, and in 6 or 7 years' time, it's going to provide her an additional $55,000 a year of guaranteed income for the rest of her life. And so now if he passes away, we can immediately turn on this other bucket of money to replace some of the lost income that she has. And so, look, if you haven't thought about what happens when your spouse passes away, there's potentially going to be a huge drop off in income, and you have to proactively plan for that. Okay. You know, my mom passed away earlier this year. And when that happens to a family, you don't want to have to deal with the financial stress that comes with that when someone passes away.
It's true.
It's an uncomfortable conversation to have, but if you have it up front, it will save you, in my opinion, so much headache and stress in the future. Just to have that written plan in place. And by the way, that's a part of what we call the Retire Smart Roadmap when we put that together for you.
I'm sure she cried when you showed her that there was a way.
It's a pretty emotional experience to go through, yeah.
It really is.
It's worth it to know when you have that plan in place that you're going to be okay.
Absolutely.
And you said it's a hard conversation. It's something that a lot of people don't want to think about.
Yeah.
But we're not going to live forever. And you have to have a plan for the what if in life, right? So it's something that we focus on wholeheartedly. It's have a plan and review it regularly.
Yes, and specifically with a husband-wife situation, because a lot of times it is the husband that passes away first, so to make sure that she was okay obviously meant a lot. So I'm sure that they were so thankful for that information. Well, Prashant, only a minute and a half left of today's show, but you and Nick have a very special offer, which, by the way, includes the book. Let's talk about this again before we say goodbye.
The book is Fiscal Health, Retirement Wealth. It's your prescription for income generation, tax management, financial peace of mind. If you've not yet mapped out your retirement income, if you're concerned about the threat of taxes going up, if you're not sure what happens if your spouse is to pass away to your retirement income, just pick up the phone and give us a call. It's 833-308-5200. When you dial that number, you'll come into our headquarters in Ellicott City, Maryland. You'll meet with our team of specialists, Nick, Ozzy, Mike, Connor, myself. We'll sit down with you and we'll put together this roadmap for you. It's going to include that income for life report, help you map out your income for the rest of your life, taking into account taxes and inflation. We'll even show you what happens when one spouse passes away. We'll do a forensic analysis of your retirement portfolio, show you what you're paying in fees, both the hidden fees and the transparent ones. We'll pair that all together with a tax mitigation report, show you what kind of taxes you potentially will pay in the future and how to minimize that tax liability. Last opportunity for today's show. It's 833-308-5200.
Prashant, thank you so much. Nick, thank you so much. To our viewers at home, 833-308-5200. Be safe, be happy, be blessed. We'll see you next week.